Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday to you all. Let's get into this topic of discussion, this healing journey. That's the topic of discussion today, this healing journey. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone is doing well. Before I actually get into this topic, I want to say, guys, Friday, um, because I was so exhausted. I had only had about 4 hours of sleep 2 nights in a row, and that's not good. And I'm always on here talking about self care, but for some reason, last week was a crazy week. It was just so more or less things going wrong, things having to correct things and situations and stuff like that. And when you have to correct things and take care of stuff that doesn't come in correctly, it takes up more time. But what I'm learning to do is trying to find a balance in between that so that I can get the necessary sleep that I need. Because if I don't do that, I can't get the sleep, and then it affects everything in my life. It affects everything. Um, but I try to be on here Monday through Friday because it's important, because I know that these messages is helping um, some of you guys, or maybe all of you, that it's resonating with you, because I'm getting comments and you guys are subscribing to the channel. And thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that, because you are resonating with these messages. And that means that telling you my story and how I'm getting through will help you as well. So, guys, let's get to it. So, the topic of discussion, as I said before, is this healing journey. It's not an easy one, and not everybody have the um, stamina, is the word, to stay on this journey and to keep going, no matter what the price is, no matter what the challenges is, um, to stay focused. And it's not easy, guys. I'm telling you from experience, none of this is easy, but it's well worth it. I promise you, as you start to see the results of your hard labor. So, since I've been on this journey since 2020, it's been a while. I have learned a few things, while I've been on this healing journey. In the beginning, it felt so painful, so hard. There was plenty of times, guys, where I felt like just giving up. But then I would be giving up on me. And it's important that we never give up on ourselves, that we never do that. It's so important that we don't give up on us. Because if we don't love us, if you don't love you, then how do you expect anybody else to? If you don't care about yourself, how do you expect anybody else to? So it's important that we stay on this journey and we take care of ourselves. And I promise you, as you start to see the results, you're going to be so happy that you did. Um, One key factor as I've been on this journey is perseverance. I persevere mostly in prayer, and especially during times of isolation, because there was no one there to lift me up, no one there to, in a physical, to encourage me and say, hey, Lisa, keep going, keep doing this, you got this, etc. I didn't have those words or motivational speeches from anyone. I had to find ways, creative ways, to lift myself up. I learned to trust God and push through the challenges and difficulties. And in the beginning, it gets a little bit easier down the line, but in the beginning, guys, this stuff was hard. And plenty of times I just felt like throwing in a towel. But, I was always reminded that this is for me, self-care, to heal so I can grow and evolve. And I have to deal with the pain, find an outlet for it so that the pain doesn't stay stuck within me. I talk about that a lot on my other videos as well. Um, I also vowed to follow my mother's advice, because she used to always tell me, like when I get myself in situation with bills overdue and this and that, and she used to be on my case, people like White on Rice, and it would be like the cartoon adult on Charlie Brown, wah 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 wah, But I heard every word that she said. But back then, I just couldn't be bothered because it felt like this: walls are closing in, and then as soon as you take care of one situation, here come 3 and 4 and 5 more at one time, like a domino effect. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it felt overwhelming. And I just said, the hell with this. And my mother would always tell me, you can't do that. You have to do blah, 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 you know. And after my last conversation with her and she passed away, I really prayed and asked God to help me to change that about myself, because having that attitude when things get to be a challenge, it can take over you and create problems in your life. And I didn't want that anymore. So I had to fight, bite, and crawl through those situations. And it took time, a lot of time, a lot of looking at myself as to why I was doing this. And then in therapy, when I learned why I was doing this, then I said, wait a minute. I need to take care of me. I need to take care of everything on my plate that's not okay. That's not right. You know, um, the old version of myself used to, like, when problems would occur and stuff, and like I just said, it felt like a domino effect of these things that I couldn't take care of, but at a certain time, whether it was personal or bills, it's just like, how you do this, just leave that over there. I don't have time for this. And that was the old version of myself. I don't have time for this. I can't be bothered right now. And I learned to correct that. And it was hard. It wasn't easy. I used to get overwhelmed with problems, whether they were personal ones or not. And it just felt overwhelming. And I didn't want to deal with it. But you have to deal with it. Otherwise, these things will get worse and worse. I have some notes here, guys. Healing the pain and the grief that was within me, that was heavy, that felt like those tons of bricks that I talk about as a metaphor, climbing a hill with a ton of bricks on your back that feels overwhelming, right? And when you throw those bricks off, you can walk freely, without feeling a heavy load. And that's what I needed to do. And I had to heal the pain and the grief. And I had to learn to stop overgiving to people, stop taking on other people's burdens, because that was another issue of mine. I had my own burdens, and then I'm adding bricks on top of my own bricks of somebody else's, which has nothing to do with me. And I learned to stop doing that. It was hard because people were still trying to pile it on. You know how somebody come and they lay their bricks on your door, their burdens, their problems and situations. I just don't take on that anymore because it's not mine. It's an OPP, other people's problems. And we all have to, as adults, find a medium ground to this on how to do this. And this life of problems and situations, this journey doesn't come with an instruction book. We have to do what feels right, where find some creative ways to get these things done. Um, I had to face these problems head on instead of just, saying I'll get to it next week and the next week, and you never really get to it. So I had to learn to just face these problems head on so that I can get them off my table, and to say no. Say no when other people come and they got issues and they want to keep borrowing money that they never pay back. They want to keep throwing their problems and involving you in their problems that you have nothing to do with, and pulling you in that. That's a burden as well. It's a metaphor of the bricks that I talk about, because it's not your problems. It has nothing to do with you. They have to face their own situations. I think one of the problems why I was having difficulties with all of this is because my self-esteem was in the ground. It was in the gutter because it was so low. because I didn't value myself as I do today, knowing my self-worth and that I am important just as the next individual. And that's the first step in this healing process, guys, is to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're worth it, just like the next individual. Never count yourself out, never count yourself down. We fall, but you get right back up again. It's like a baby who's learning to walk. They take a few steps, fall down, get up, try again until one day they're walking perfectly, right? So I started with therapy because I didn't know where else to start. And the therapy made me look at myself, why I was doing certain things, make a pro and a con list of all the individuals in my life, in my circle, family, or otherwise, and see what they were giving, what they were bringing to the table and what I was bringing to the table, right? And it just started to be an imbalance there. And after I start to see this, I start to work on myself, stay in prayer. Music helped me a lot, lots of music, prayer, meditation, spending time doing things that I enjoy instead of what everybody else enjoy as I did before and forgot about me. And as I did these things, little by little, I start to build up my self-esteem, one brick at a time. Nothing ventured is nothing gained. Um, and as I built up my self esteem, I started to see behind the mask that these folks were wearing. Instead of making excuses for them and what they have going on, I start to see the truth of the matters. Um, as I self love and self care, and as it built up my self esteem. Um, so I start to see behind these masks, not what I wanted it to be, but what it really was. So the most important thing was building my relationship with God by learning that I can connect directly to God through Jesus without being connected to organized religion and letting them tell me how to talk to God or how to perceive God in my life. I learned to do that and it started to work for me, you know. And also, I learned how to draw my strength from God. As I prayed and asked Him to help me, I didn't sit back. I did the work accordingly. And I asked God, as I do the work, please help me. Don't leave me out in the cold. I'm trying, and I was really trying. I'm not trying to take from others or do the negative stuff. I was really working hard, and I started to see the results of my hard labor one day at a time. It didn't happen overnight. And I drew my strength from God through prayer and meditation. And He started to show me signs of helping me. And as I grew stronger, I learned to set boundaries. Because as I grew stronger, I started to see what this was really about with other folks. They were coming and dropping their burdens on me. I was overgiven, and my time, instead of putting it into me, I was putting it into everybody else and leaving myself depleted. And so that couldn't happen anymore as I started to see what was really happening here. Um, and, as I start to set these boundaries with toxic individuals, including family members, they didn't like the boundaries, so they decided to disrespect them. And as they disrespected the boundaries I put in place, I started to cut off, block, and delete. And my name was all up and down the grapevine, with gossip, if you know what that term means, up and down, saying a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't true because they were pissed off that I wasn't subservient to them anymore. I wasn't hopping, skipping through hoops to please them and do what they wanted me to do, like a puppet on a string. I was no longer doing any of that. I was setting those boundaries, girl, sit down, shut up kind of attitude, and please. With that kind of disrespect, I would be crying to my therapist, and he would say, Lisa, enforce those boundaries. He didn't have a lot of words, just the words he had were powerful. Enforce those boundaries. And I would do that, and girl, please. So cut off, block, and delete. Used to cry about it, but as I did the work and knew my self-worth and what was for my highest good, I didn't feel any kind of way because I started to look up, what these things are. And people will react in a negative way when they're used to taking advantage of you, getting whatever they want from you, and they no longer can do it because you are your eyes are open. You're awake and you see things for what they are and not what you want them to be, you know. And I just started cutting people off. And then what I learned too is that respect goes a long ways. And I talked about this on one of my other videos about respect. The people don't let people disrespect you, and call them out on it. You did A, B, C, and D. That felt disrespectful. Have a conversation about it. If they say, girl, sit down, shut up kind of attitude, cut off, set boundaries. But for me, I cut off, block, and delete because I don't have no time for any of that. And I don't have to act out of character. One of the things that I take offense to a lot is when people think of me as a person of color, that they want to do something to get me to act out of character, like from the streets or anything. I've never done any of that. I lose my temper from time to time. But what I do now, I let people know how I feel. Whereas before, I would vent to a friend or, to a therapist, to my therapist. But now I let you know, and I'm firm with what I say. And if it's disrespect, I don't talk to you anymore. I cut you off. I don't care. And my silence is deep because I don't have time for that. Life is too short for us to be dealing with disrespect and toxic situations. Life is short. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. We want to live the best life and, more importantly, to be at peace. I really understand for the first time in my life my mother's words that she just want peace, inner peace. And I understand that. And that's so important. When people will talk and about me and say that I was being cold and nasty and etc., it's none of that. I was self-preserving is what I'm doing. When I set boundaries, I'm self-preserving. When I cut off, block, and delete, I'm self-preserving because I no longer want toxicity in my life. I'm talking about toxicity to the highest level. I look at the situation, I do a pro and con list. And if the con list outweigh the pro, I set boundaries. And if the boundaries are disrespect, I already know what time it is. So cut off, block, and delete and say goodbye. That's it. Some people are going to love you out here when you do the work and just in general. And some people are going to hate your guts. My thing is let them hate because, as long as they don't put that hate into action, but let them hate. I've gotten to the point that I've done so much work on myself that unless I've said something or did something out of place, I will apologize. I'm also in a place of humility, but I'm also in a place of self-preservation because my peace is everything to me. My relationship with God is everything. And a relationship with God to me doesn't mean I have to sit up in a church or what organized religion environment. I can have that relationship with Him and do the work. And guys, it hasn't been easy. But one of the things that I had a difficult time with on this journey is saying no to other people. Sometimes you have to say no. Somebody want to come and borrow something and you got your bills to pay and no, I'm sorry, I can't help you, but I can pray for you. They look at me, give me a nasty look, walk away. Okay, good, because you're never going to ask me for anything anymore. And that's the way I see that now, instead of getting upset that I lost somebody in my life. And, me and my therapist will have a discussion. Well, what have you lost? What have they brought to the table? And it doesn't have to be anything physical, but support. To me, it's like when I'm going through something, we sometimes want to just have people to listen. They can't change our circumstances, but they can listen and support us and uplift us. I don't have that, didn't have that. So, and people were just intruding and being intrusive, these toxic individuals. And I said, no, well, and then they would cut me off. Okay, so we'll cut each other off. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I have to take care of me and preserve me because I matter just like everybody else. And I'm learning that things, if it's not for your highest good, then you can say no to it. Never allow yourself to settle for something that is not for your highest good just because you don't want to be alone and you want to have friends or whatever the situation. Value yourself and your self-worth, because people, as you do that, love and all these things will find you, because you're going to close those old doors that no longer serve you, and you're going to move to the present, open those new doors, because I promise you, God has something good behind those new doors, better than what was, behind the old stuff. Because if people don't value you or self or respect you, they're telling you a whole lot with the disrespect. You're nothing, you don't matter kind of attitude. They're showing you through those actions, and I call them out on it. And if they reiterate the disrespect, cut off, block, and delete, and I don't feel any kind of way about it anymore, because disrespect nobody should put up with. Disrespect, any form of abuse, that's going to lower your self-esteem, and it's going to stress you out. With all these things comes health problems, and it's better to be at peace than broken down into pieces. And sometimes people who are unhealed and don't want to do the work, they don't want to be there by themselves in that place of brokenness. It's like crabs in a barrel. They trying to get out and they're pulling each other down so that nobody gets out. And that's how it is with people who don't want to heal and do the work. It's a lot of work. It's hard. They don't want to do it. So they stay in a place of brokenness and they want you there with them. Misery loves company, but I refuse to. I'll say, okay, when you're ready to do the work, you do the work. And, maybe one day we can talk. But for now, I'm going to leave you to it. And that's how I see things now. And, when I have problems coming up, I go into prayer, ask God to help me to find a effective and creative way to deal with the problem. And then I'm on top of it right away. And then get that off the table, get another one. I'm still learning how time management, because that's hard, because when unexpected things come up, and taking care of myself, I'm doing that. What I have to learn also is getting the necessary sleep, so that what happened on Friday doesn't happen again. But I am doing the work little by little. And if you fall, guys, it's okay. Get right back up and keep going. And I promise you, you're going to see the results and you're going to be so happy with yourself. And as you open up the new doors and close the old ones, you're going to be so happy with what's behind those new doors. God will be there for you. Pray to him and ask him as you do the work. I promise you guys, this journey is not easy. It's not for the weak. Just get up, keep going, and ask God to help you, because this is not something that you can do alone. you know that's the message today. Let's build up instead of tearing down. We never want to see a person broken down into pieces, but at a place of peace and self-love. That's the message today, guys. Share it with others. Continue to show up here, and let's keep this going. This is a no judgment channel, so if anyone here to judge, this is not the right place for it. And continue to subscribe to the channel, tell others about this so that we can keep this going. Thank you again. This is Lisa, shedding love and light. Guys, thank you all for the comments and for being here today. And I'm not sure what time I'm going to be here tomorrow. So please subscribe to the channel so that you always know when I'm here. This is Lisa, shedding love and light, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.